This is a Toyota Yaris T Sport, and here are 5 reasons why I think it is an underrated little hot hatch. Now the first reason is because of how it looks. With the T Sport being sort of the top of the Yaris range, it comes with some nice additions out of the factory. Most obvious is the sort of body kit. This doesn't look like your normal Yaris. So you've got new bumpers at the front, obviously at the rear, you've got side skirts, there's also a nice spoiler. Originally I wanted the facelift model, it's got a slightly squarer look to it and I just sort of preferred it. But I ended up with this phase 1, and that's because it's been nicely modified. It's lowered slightly, it's got different wheels, it's got bigger brakes. I think it's got a nice squat look to it. So that's the first reason I really like these. And the second, slightly boring, but it's because of the practicality. With this being a small car, the boot isn't going to be massive, but thanks to some clever engineering, you can fit quite a lot in here. These back seats can be slid forward, which gives you a much deeper boot, and you can fit quite a lot in here. But let's have a look at the inside because it's freezing. So the practicality continues in here. You've got a sort of dual glove box, which is quite handy. You've also got space either side of this area. There's also space in there. There's a tray under that. Then you've got your obvious door bins, cup holders. As well as there being plenty of space for stuff, there's also plenty of space for people. I'm just under 6 foot, and yeah, there's loads of room in here. There's also enough room in the back. With it being based on a Yaris, it isn't massively luxurious though. You've got aircon, a sunroof, and that's it. This did also actually come with a sat nav from the factory, but it's next to useless. As always with an old car, I would recommend an aftermarket stereo. With this being the T Sport, it gets, well, some additions over the standard model. So you've got a leather lined steering wheel and gear knob, different seats and some analog dials. Slightly quirky dial position, but you do get used to it. You've got a nice view out the front because it's sort of slightly more off centre. Unfortunately, the driving position is a bit more difficult to get used to. You very much sit on the car and not in it. The pedals are almost, you're sort of treading on them like if you stood up outside. It's not a very sort of sporty driving position. So the third reason I think the T Sport deserves more credit is because of how it drives. Now it's got a 1.5 litre naturally aspirated engine and it's good for about 100 horsepower. It does 0 to 60 in a fairly average 9 seconds. And it's true, it's not massively quick, but it is fast enough. And what it is fun. It's fun because you can use full throttle for more of the time without worrying about breaking the speed limit. The fact it's fairly lightweight and fairly tinny also means that lower speeds feel quicker than they actually are. The fun factor is enhanced by the way this thing goes around corners. With it being lowered and on some slightly wider tyres, it really sticks around the corners and there isn't an awful lot of roll. I'd argue it feels more composed than my Renault Sport Clio does when it comes to the twisty bits. The brakes are also, with them being upgraded, do feel more than powerful enough to stop this car. There's a couple of negatives to the driving experience, the first of which is to do with motorway driving. That little engine seems to work quite hard at motorway speeds. A lot of noise gets into the cabin. It could also probably do with the 7th gear to just drop the RPM a little bit.
7th gear?
Did I say 7th?
Yeah.
That little engine seems to be revving quite high at motorway speeds. It could probably do with the 6th gear. The second negative is that there doesn't feel like there's much reward when you rev it sort of past 5,000 RPM. I think because of how the engine's set up, it's giving its all by sort of that point in the rev range. The third and final sort of negative is the ride quality. As this has been lowered, it sort of clatters over bumps. I wouldn't say it's uncomfortable, it's just not massively refined. So 2 more points that I'd like to make about the T Sport. It's reliable and it's cheap. So this car we've had for about 4.5 years now, and other than a set of tyres and a blowing exhaust, it's been faultless. It's quite amazing really for a 17-year-old car. I guess it's the Japanese way, and that sort of tradition continues on the inside. Everything works as it should. Even the aircon blows ice cold, which is something that I long for in my slightly younger Renault Clio. Now in terms of running costs, they're cheap to buy, they're cheap to insure, and they're cheap to run, so you can't really ask for anything more. To summarise then, these cars are great to look at, they're practical, they're fun to drive, they're reliable and they're cheap. I don't think they deserve to be overlooked. I've been Blee, thank you for watching and please subscribe.